Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon. So today let us understand about the Oauth Flow, how the authorization authentication takes place and how the authorization server and the resource servers are being involved in the whole flow. For example, let us see the diagram here. So as a user, assume that you want to access xyz.com app, so which you are not part of the account holder, like you don't have an account for that particular app, but this app allows you to log in using a FB and Gmail account. So what you generally do, go to that particular app or application, website, whatever you call. So you just go and hit login using a FB and Gmail button, whatever is the comfortable one. So now here assume that FB and Gmail are, for example, I have took for this. Now these are both the authorization server and the resource server both. Either you take a Facebook or a Gmail, any one of them. So generally authorization server and resource server will be the same until unless you have specific requirement to have a different one. So for this example, let us have that we have a same authorization server and the resource server. So now you are trying to log in using a FB through the xyz.com. Okay, so what it does, like as soon as you start hit the login using FB button, so what XYZ app does is it sends a authorization request to the authorization server. So that is nothing but a Facebook here. So what Facebook does is like generally it will ask you or it will prompt your login page, which is asking your credentials, because you are the owner of that particular details or the profile details or anything, because you are the resource owner. So you have all the details, you are the resource owner there. So what it does, it prompts you a login window inside the xyz.com app, so that you will enter your credentials over there. So as soon as you enter your credentials over there, so it will validate that credentials and it will send back the authorization code to the xyz.com app. So now here interesting part is like you never entered your credentials in xyz.com app. You entered your credentials that is validated against the authorization server, that is nothing but a Facebook here. So Facebook sends you authorization code after validating your credentials or whatever the data you entered or authorization grant you provided. So it sends an authorization code. So what xyz.com will do next is like using that authorization code or a token, it sends a request with a client ID and client secret. So xyz.com will send a request to a authorization server with a client ID, client secret along with your authorization code. So now you might be confused like where the authorization code and client ID and client secret comes. So authorization code anywhere it is written by the authorization server. Now client ID, client secret are the pre-registration, like XYZ app is already registered with authorization server. So that's why it is allowing you using the login with Facebook or a Gmail. So that's why. So always authorization server knows about XYZ app because it's already registered as a client over there. So that's why it has already generated a client ID and secret. So any request which comes to authorization server from this particular app will have a client ID and client secret with a authorization code. So as soon as that has been made, so authorization gain that and sends a access token back and the request token back. So refresh token is optional generally. So but it sends a refresh token, access token with a validity and everything. So now what has happened, now your authorization and authentication is all done with here. So you got your authorization code, you sent your client ID and client secret to authorization server, and now authorization server sends back your access token and the refresh token. So now what it does is like using that access token, it sends a particular REST API request to a resource server, that is nothing again but a FB, so that you want to retrieve your profile information or whatever your image or your profile username and other things. So what it does, it checks the particular access token whether it is valid or not, and based on that it sends a response data with a back. So if it is a valid, it sends a particular profile information allowed to be used in the xyz.com. So this is the whole one step of a process. Now what does like refresh token works here? So as soon as there is a access token and so it has a short lived time period. So access token will be getting refreshed every time, so you will get a new access token for the particular time period of, like it's based on your configuration, like 60 minutes, 30 minutes or like 5 minutes, whatever, it's based on your configuration. So as soon as access token is trying to get or is about to expire, what you do, you send a refresh token back to the authorization server to get a new access token. So that time new authentication is not required from you as a user, as a resource owner, because you have a valid access token and a refresh token. So refresh token will be sent back to the particular authorization server to get a new access token. So as soon as you get a new access token, it will be renewed for that period of a time, again for 60 minutes something. So before the next 60 minutes, again you send a new refresh token to get a get access token, so that this cycle will go on the period of as per your configuration, so that user will need not to log in again and again for to get access token and authorization everything. So that's why they will use as a refresh token. But using a refresh token is an optional generally. How your architecture or how you want it to be authentication procedure, that's how it works. So this is a basic simple example I've given it to you. So I'll explain you in details of how it works with the code and everything. I explained in previous examples with the quick lock and everything, but I'll come up with a more detailed analysis or maybe the working examples for this as well. Thank you. Thanks a lot.